Namaskar. This is Suresh Markal. Welcome to our learning channel. Today in this session, we shall learn about the First War of Indian Independence 1857. The First War of Indian Independence in 1857 was a significant uprising against British colonial rule. Also known as the Sepoy Mutiny, it emerged due to British policies like the doctrine of subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse, which led to dissatisfaction among Indians. The rebellion spread across various regions and involved both soldiers and civilians. Despite its ultimate suppression by the British, it marked a turning point in India's struggle for freedom, inspiring future generations to continue the fight against colonial oppression. Political causes. Dalhousie's policy of doctrine of lapse, which denied rights to adopted heirs, greatly affected the entire Indian political system. This policy became a major cause for the rebellion against British rule. As a result, historical kingdoms like Satara, Jaipur, Jhansi, and others came under British control, robbing them of their sovereignty and rights. Dalhousie cancelled princely titles, affecting the Nawabs of Tanjavuru and Carnatic kingdoms. Even the Mughal sultans, the Nawab of Awadh, and other kings saw their kingly status stripped away, leaving them mere figureheads. As a result, lakhs of soldiers unemployed. All of these factors came together to fuel the flames of the 1857 rebellion. Economic causes. Due to the Industrial Revolution in England, Indian handicrafts and cottage industries suffered heavily. England, instead of being a trading country, became a hub of industries. The Indian craftsmen became unemployed. The textile and the cottage industries suffered a death blow. The British imposed a heavy tax on Indian goods. People lost their jobs. Because of the zamindari system, the zamindars acting as commission agents between the government and the farmers. They exploited the Indian farmers. An Inam Commission was appointed and all the gifted lands were taken back. Due to this, the farmers felt insulted and experienced many financial problems. This led to the revolt of farmers against the British. Administrative causes. The British brought into force new civil and criminal laws. These were applicable only to Indians. English became the language of the courts. Most of the time the British judges favored the British. The new rules were not understood by the common people. Military causes. The condition of the Indian soldiers in the British Army was pathetic. The status, salary and opportunities for promotion that British soldiers enjoyed were not given to Indian soldiers. The religious sentiments of the Indian soldiers were disturbed when they were forced to cross the oceans to serve on a foreign land. Revolt outbreak and its spread. Most of the Indian soldiers in the British Army believed that if they fought together, they could drive away the British from India. At that time, the soldiers were being given new rifles called Royal Enfield. A rumor spread among the soldiers that the cartridges used in these rifles were greased with the fat of cow and pigs. While cows were sacred to the Hindus, pigs were blasphemous for Muslims. This incident became the immediate cause for the revolt. The rumor upset the soldiers at Barrackpore. British officers told them to bite off the cartridges, but the soldiers refused and rebelled. An Indian soldier named Mangal Pandey even killed a British officer. He was caught, put on trial, and hanged. Eruption of the revolt and its spread. Meerut was a strong military base of the British. When the British ordered the Indian soldiers to use the greased cartridges, the soldiers refused to carry out the order. The soldiers were imprisoned. As a result, there was a revolt in Meerut. Indian soldiers rushed into the prison and released the soldiers jailed there. This became the spark that led to the fire of the War of Independence. Later, the group of soldiers went to Delhi from Meerut. They laid siege on the Red Fort and declared the Mughal king Bahadur Shah II as the Emperor of India. Protesting soldiers from different parts of India reached Delhi. Consequently, the protest became serious. It spread like wildfire to Kanpur and Jhansi. In Kanpur, Nana Sahib rose in protest. Tatya Tope was his assistant. In Jhansi, a revolt took place under the leadership of Queen Lakshmibai. When Kanpur fell into the hands of the British, Tatya Tope came to Jhansi to help the Queen. The heat of the revolt was felt in Lucknow also. Ultimately, Lucknow was taken over by the British. The war spread to the south of River Yamuna. As a result, the soldiers in Jhansi felt encouraged. Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai, who was enraged by the doctrine of lapse, declared war against the British. She tied her adopted son to her back and fought in the war. She took Gwalior under her control. When the battle took place again with the British, the Queen laid down her life. Even today, the Queen occupies a pride of place in the history of the independence struggle. Reasons for failure of the revolt. The 1857 revolt didn't succeed for several reasons. It didn't spread across the whole country, and it focused on the interests of a few instead of seeking freedom for all. Unlike an organized effort, it erupted unexpectedly. The unity of the British was strong, while Indian soldiers lacked it, contributing to failure. There was a lack of clear direction and leadership. Also, strategy, soldier skills, leadership, discipline, and guidance were missing. Many local kings, loyal to the British, didn't back the revolt. People lost trust due to soldier misconduct like arson and looting. Effects of the revolt. The revolt had significant effects. The East India Company's rule ended, and the Queen of England took charge. The British Parliament's Secretary of Indian Affairs managed administration. In 1858, the Queen issued a declaration known as India's Magna Carta. It included honoring agreements made with kings by the East India Company, stopping ambitious expansion plans, giving Indians a stable government, ensuring equality before law, showing religious tolerance and not interfering in religious matters. The British realized that the peaceful rule was not possible without support, trust and confidence of the Indians. This shaped a new path for India's freedom movement. Indians understood they must find different ways to gain freedom from the British. To conclude, the First War of Indian Independence in 1857 marked a significant turning point in India's struggle for freedom. It ignited a widespread uprising against British colonial rule. It galvanized Indians to fight collectively for independence and paved the way for future movements against British oppression. Dear learner, in this video we learned some important events of the First War of Indian Independence of 1857. In the next video, let's get to know the freedom movement of India that graces the grand pages of our history. Excited to inform you that, in the next video all the freedom fighters will appear in the form of 3D animation. Let's hope for the best. Namaskar. Jai Hind.